Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Wales of Wall Street. We have an XDC video here for us today. It has been a while since I've done the last XDC video. I don't think the price has moved too much, but we'll go into the chart very shortly. But for the time being, I just wanted to touch through a few bits and pieces and topics of XDC that have occurred in the last few weeks since then. Of course, one of the big things recently was the integration with Uphold. Of course, it's absolutely fantastic to see XDC on this platform, and the ability as well to store in the Uphold wallet also. So a good exercise here by XDC, just adding to their components really the abilities for being able to obtain XDC in other areas and also store it as well. So I'm really pleased to see this. And I wanted to bring that kind of like topic to the forefront really, because the ecosystem is building for XDC. And there's some really, really amazing projects being built on here right now. And I wanted to point out the fact as well, this is a network that only started a few years ago. It's like 3 years old, maybe 2019, I think it was, when the XinFin network was first created, right? We used to have the XDCE token, I think, before it became what we know today, the XDC token. But of course, as well, when we first introduced this project, probably about a year and a half ago now, at the very beginning of this channel, it was pretty much identified by us that this was a project we wanted to follow heavily. Like, we had excitement around the likes of, Ripple, XRP, Stellar, all of these amazing chains out there and protocols and systems. But for me, XDC was probably the one right now that accumulated very big interest and collaboration and integrations with some really big projects out there. Now we know the influence of things like R3 Corda with XDC network, right? And these, of course, very heavily involved in likes of, HBAR, Quant, all of those kind of big companies and projects, right? So this makes it really exciting for me as an investor and someone who's very excited about the space in general, right? So we've got that to think about, but we've also got the aspect that this project is so early, it's adding in many, many infrastructures to its portfolio that are building on the XinFin networks. We talked about data chain quite a while ago. We even did the AMA as well with Kazi. And we've covered various topics. If you remember, like the print video we did on one of the People's Crypto, I think, and XSwap as well. This is very popular with a lot of people. And certainly something that you could accumulate a lot of at these kind of special prices that they are at the moment. And even Globiance as well, the big exchange, I think this is going to have a huge future. And there's loads of other ones here as well, even ones that are attached to physical gold, supposedly. But yeah, this is really interesting to see the building mechanism of XDC. And also this one, look at this. This was like literally the beginning of the month. We'll just go to Bitcoinist, actually. I think that's where the original article is from. But yeah, they basically acquired by utilizing, I think, existing tokens of XDC and basically creating or providing a commitment of secure $50 million, guys. Like, this is going to help the project push further forwards. This is the expansion of layer 2 projects. So pretty much all the things we've spoken about just a minute ago and adding more and more to it. And what I love about this is the mentions about things like Meta. So you think about like MetaBlocks, one of the really cool projects that it's building on the XinFin network right now. We're trying to get an AMA with those guys soon as well. And all the other really cool things that we have integrated here. We actually focus really actually on oracles, quite interesting, and cloud storage, because the likes of Quant, for example, are really heavy in this area too. And I love this, tokenized real world assets. This is where we start incorporating things outside of the traditional NFT matters and bringing in things that you can think of which proper tangible values to them, cars, houses, products, whatever it might be. And I think this is going to be absolutely fantastic to see the building mechanism of XDC over the next few years. And that's why I'm so excited about it moving forward. And I picked up on this earlier. Now, I think back in April, I can't remember the exact numbers. It's around 700,000 or something, maybe a bit less than that. But, we're approaching nearly 1 million active addresses now on XDC. And I've actually seen as well some of the sort of bigger YouTubers, if you like Big Boy, for example, who was actually promoting, I believe, XDC, or indeed the ISO 222, I always get that wrong, compliance aspects. He was covering that, but also mentioning that XDC was probably going to be one of the big gems, the dark horses, if you like, over the next few years. And I believe that. I'm not surprised that more and more people are waking up to this particular token and project. And I think over the next few years, it's going to have a really massive ride. We'll go into the chart in a minute to see the history of it and where we think it's going, in the coming years. But for sure, for me, is to get to that million would be fantastic. I can imagine when that happens, there's going to be a big story about that, and that will drive even more people in because they'll start taking it maybe a bit more seriously, or maybe even just generally waking up to it. I think it's quite a unique amount of people that know about this project. I'm surprised it's not more. But that could just be because it's in the early stages of adoption and early stages of building its ecosystem. We'll just have to see how that plays out and furthers out in the coming years, right? So we'll keep an eye on that. And there's a couple of other things I just want to mention. I know it's not XDC kind of like directly, but of course built on the XinFin network is DC and also Goodbyance, and DC have just listed the data chain token on Goodbyance as well. So you can start seeing all this nice dot connecting and bringing this together. Really, it's really nice to see, really cool to see, and I'm super excited and pumped for the future. And I was on this point actually when we go into the chart in a second, the price point being around 0.031. I just rounded it down, but sort of initiating really like what kind of price points we want to try and achieve here. So of course, like I think $100 is around about 3,333, right? I think 1,000, yeah. So $100 getting us this kind of amount. I was sort of thinking about this. Well, I remember the previous highs being quite good, but I'd like to see some like adoption of first stage like sell-offs if I'm buying at these kind of lower prices. One of those would probably be around that 20 cent mark for kind of like 5 times ish return. But of course, the big ultimate numbers in the future, guys, I'm talking about like maybe potentially by 2025, we might get towards that 50 cent or higher. I'm not getting too ahead of myself right now, but even that 50 cent mark, guys, on $100 investment is quite a good return. And I think that's quite a unique thing to understand. And of course, if you are putting more in, even you put in 1,000 in, well, the return's going to be significantly higher, obviously. So you can start seeing a bit of an idea really as to what could be potentially achieved. Don't worry that it says XLP in it. It's just because it automatically puts prices in, but I've just adjusted them manually, so don't worry about that. But yeah, XDC, I think this is a really good price point. Yeah, of course it could come down a bit low if Bitcoin breaks 20 again and goes further down over a long period of time. But in general, I think this particular area is of great interest. So I just want to bring those few points to the table. Let's actually go into the chart for XDC because, as I mentioned, it's a really tasty price point right now, albeit that we have had slightly lower. It's not massively off where it was at this area. It's that's always that old saying, I wish I got more when it was lower, right? And look at this back down here in June, pretty much the beginning of July, actually, to be fair. 2 cents, and that makes quite a big difference, actually, to be honest, in terms of accumulation. I think if you were to drop that to 2 cents and buying it like $100 worth, you're still looking at a relatively good return on that. So it's not far off. I don't think it's the end of anything at all. I think it's still a very good opportunity and promotes what we always say on the channel, the DCA application, dollar cost averaging, meaning you don't just go and chuck your money in at when you get paid. Think about it logically, think about it strategically, that you can go in at different points, right? So this area in particular, literally bang on 3 cents. We're literally talking, guys, about 10th of a cent here between this point and this point. It's not much at all. But for those that are very interested in that area, of course, there are some moves still to come over these coming weeks. And if I just pull this fib retracement out a bit more. So this is basically taking the recent low point and one of the recent high points, and this gives us our data to look forward to see where we might be going with the chart. So you can see we're starting to try to break that 3.2 cent barrier. Wow, whoop-de-doo, as they say. But obviously coming back down to 3 cents, again, it's really insignificant, which is why kind of rounded it down to that 0.3 mark, 0.03 mark, sorry, on the calculation chart of profits, because there's not much in it. I think overall in this particular area is a great steal. Anything under 10 cents, in my opinion, is fantastic to accumulate XDC in a finer fashion. And from a buying perspective, we're already coming off the tail end of a sell-off, if you want to call it that. It's not really a huge sell-off at all, but volume has gone out regardless. We have to see this in the data, and that's tailing off now. So we might start seeing a mini sort of end to this kind of like lower wave, and start seeing maybe just potentially pushing this 3.3 barrier a couple more times. We need to get over this line and start maintaining this as a support level, so we can start getting to those next levels of sort of 3.5 cents. Bit advantageous to get to 3.7 in a very near future, but you never know. A big announcement or another great announcement will come out of XinFin one day anytime soon and pull that up, but it will probably be a falsified move, kind of like where it was here, and there's a retaliation in the market to come down because it's hit the peak that it could possibly do. So this is I would say like a macro target potentially in the next like couple of months. In the shorter term, 3.5 cents is probably potentially achievable, but as I said, it has to be really based on the fact of penetrating this market here at 3.2 cents and staying above it. To do that, we need to probably bounce around this area a couple of times, which usually takes a few weeks, to be honest, before we stabilize this area. So at the moment, it's looking relatively strong at these kind of regions. If we pull back, we can see the development and the progress. We're now testing this area that we saw back here on the 22nd of July, and the big areas here where we saw an up and down. This is like a magnet really to decide what support level we're at, and it wasn't quite ready, which is why we dropped down. So this is a really critical area right now that we're approaching. It's balancing act between the June and July markers to see if we can maintain this particular area. So let's keep an eye on this, guys, over the next few weeks for sure. I won't leave it as long as the last time to cover XDC, but I think this is certainly something where hopefully more and more are hearing about it, and irrespective of the price point in the near future over the next few months, as I said, anything under 10 cents, in my opinion, is a massive steal for the longevity of XDC and potential profits that could come back from it. So I'm accumulating as and when I can. I'm buying it at any of these kind of regions, really, to be honest, because there's just so minimal in the differences, right? But for sure, you can see the swing over is coming. If this line touches and just swings back, that's where I think we might start attacking the 3.5. We'll have to see. But the performance indicators on the right-hand side here are very small. They're very low regions, but they're in green regardless. This number here on the 6 months and the year to date still have some time to go in terms of retracting what we were originally, perhaps at the end of last year, around December time. That being said, guys, most of the cryptocurrency market went down between 70 and 90%, right, over a 6, 7, 8 month period. We're obviously coming towards that bottom area. That's not to say it's over, but it's kind of alleviating itself, right? My thoughts around this right now is that we've still got a big move to go in the future, whether that's in a year's time, 2 years time, or by 2025, whatever it might be. There's a massive opportunity here to gain profits and gain the opportunity to get in early and reap the rewards of the gains, right? And take those gains as we go up in development. So that's just really emphasizing the point that we're early and there's still a lot of movement to go. And the RSIs right now on the 14-day and the 28-day, in my opinion, are still too middle ground for any major impact personally to be accumulating in significant numbers. But I am buying, I am accumulating in smaller regions as I see fit, as I see this wave, if you like, until I get a bit more clarity as to where is this actually going. You can even see, one last remark, guys, before I pull the video, the volumes aren't huge. So this is really just people waiting around and thinking, oh, I'll just do it now. There are some big moves to be had sometimes with announcements and stuff. That's how much little volume is going in and out right now. Any big announcement will show a good projection because of the quick amounts of volume that can come in short notice. So that's kind of like the final remark, really, guys, with XDC. As I said, final recaps, anything under 10 cent, in my opinion, is an absolute steal for XDC. I'm accumulating where I can, when possible. But yeah, right now, it's a great buy point, in my opinion. That's not financial advice, just what I'm doing, what I'm basing my information on. I think this is a really top project, as we all know. And I'm looking forward to seeing the future of it. And this is a great opportunity to accumulate. Guys, we're going to wrap that up there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll have another video very soon. Take care and bye-bye.